In just a few short moments, we will pray the final Amidah of Yom Kippur. And recite these words. I'm stuck back, actually. I grew up going to Yom Kippur at my grandparents' shul in Rhode Island, in Cranston, Rhode Island. And it was just my Zadie's 35th yard site. And I can still see him pounding his chest, like deeply, genuinely. I have no idea what was happening in his brain, but just that image of him pounding his chest so genuinely, still 35 years later, which just teaches. He never said a word. I mean, he didn't know that much, but he was always touched very deeply, and it just speaks to the messages that we learn from people without them having to say a word. And that was well before I knew much about Judaism in any significant way. But as a child, the fact that this meant something. And that we create years and years of memories of watching people and experiencing being next to people, and that has a huge imprint on our heart, which says, for all we know, even if the liturgy doesn't make sense, something means something. Even with all the confusion and all not understanding the world, something can touch us and break open our hearts and make us be open to something new in a new way, and also teach that to someone else. So I always think of him in that moment. So let's see if we can get through this. We'll recite these words in the final Amidah of Ne'ilah. God set human beings apart from the beginning and recognized we were worthy to stand before God. V'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ha'ava et Yom HaKippurim hazeh. And you, Adonai, our God, gave us with love this day of atonement to be the end of our sin and the beginning of forgiveness and pardon for all our iniquities, so that we may refrain from the injustice of our hands. V'nashuv elecha la'asot chukei ritzoncha b'levav shalem, and return to you to fulfill the statutes of your will with a perfect heart. And we have stood before you. There's been a lot of standing, right? Oh God, for the last almost 25 hours. It's about 24 at this point. We have faced the truth of who we are, our olam katan, our little worlds. We have beaten our chests. We confessed our sins. We pleaded with you. We prayed and sung, and some of us wept. We remembered, and we tried to listen in the silence. We, I think, have sought a more perfect heart. And now you'll see in the liturgy, soon the liturgy of Ne'ilah asks a series of powerful questions. Ma anu, what are we? Ma chayenu, what is our life? Ma chastenu, what are our acts of kindness? Ma tzidkenu, what is our justice? What is our righteousness? Ma yish'enu, what is our deliverance? What is our aspiration? Ma kochenu, what is our power? What is our strength? Ma gvuratenu, what is our might? Ma nomar lefanacha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. What can we say before you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors? Perhaps when we entered these Yamim Noraim, we couldn't respond to these questions. We were heavy with despair. We were broken and fragile. We were tired and cynical. But as we pray these words, as we hear these questions, I hope we're at the beginning, at least, of mustering a response not just for Yom Kippur today, but for tomorrow and the day after and the day after. Ma'anu, what are we? The Mishnah in Sanhedrin teaches us that the Holy One stamped all people with the seal of Adam like a coin machine. The first person was sealed with that stamp, but incredibly, not one of us is similar to another. Each person received that seal from Adam, but each of us is unique. Since all humanity descends from one person, each and every person, says the Sanhedrin, is obligated to say, the world was created for me. One person can be the source of all humanity and recognize the significance of one of our actions. And the Ma'or V'Shemesh teaches that the purpose of the creation of Adam was that human beings might purify themselves and gradually ascend to the place of their root and cleave to the divine light. Ma'anu, what are we? Each and every one of us here is divinely unique, and the world depends on us to strive for holiness, to continue to rise, and even when we stumble and fall, to search for the light. That is Ma'anu, what we are. Ma chayenu, what is our life? Life can be defined, of course, by the length of days. Some of us have longer days, some of us shorter. But life is also defined by its quality. Talmud Brachot records this beautiful prayer of Rav's, which actually has been inserted into Lev Shalem as the prayer for the new month. It was Rav's prayer as he finished the Amidah about the kind of life he desires. Yehi ratzon milfanech Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Rav didn't say imotenu. Shetiten lanu chayim arukim, chayim shel shalom, chayim shel tova, chayim shel bracha, chayim shel parnasa. May it be your will, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, to grant us a long life, a life of peace, a life of goodness, a life of blessing, a life with proper sustenance, a life with physical vitality, a life conscious of heaven's demands and wary of sin, a life free of shame and reproach, a life of abundance and honor, a life of love of Torah, conscious of heaven's demands, a life in which the worthy desires of our hearts are fulfilled. And so too, we, as we complete our prayers on this Yom Kippur with one final Amidah to say, let us aspire to such a life that is worthy to be called Chaim, life. A life in which we are blessed with what is essential, both physical and spiritual. A life guided by our tradition and seeking holiness. A life of fulfillment. A life worthy of being called Chaim. Ma chayenu. What is our life? That is the meaning of our life. Ma chastenu. What is our love, our kindness, our devotion? Over and over on this day, we name God as Rav Chesed, abundant in loving kindness. Notzer Chesed la'alafim, preserving kindness for thousands of generations. Rabbi Simla teaches that the Torah begins with loving kindness, with God clothing Adam and Eve. And that's actually a notion of kindness in the tradition. Malbish arumim, the one who clothes the naked. And ends the Torah with loving kindness with the burial of Moshe, which is considered to be the greatest act of kindness that we can give to someone. And of course, the last and the first letter of the Torah spell Lev, heart. At the heart of Torah is a God who cares deeply about human beings and acts with loving kindness towards us, visiting the sick and comforting the mourners, burying the dead, clothing the naked. This is not merely to characterize God, but the reason why we do this over and over again is so that we might imagine ourselves in that light, to emulate God. V'halachta bidrachav, Walk in God's ways, says the Torah in Devarim. Mirror God's compassion. What is our love, our kindness and devotion? It is to live with that kind of heart, to approach each other with compassion and sensitivity. As the psalmist said, Olam chesed yibaneh. We are to build a world on loving kindness, one act, one day at a time. Ma chastenu. What is our chesed? That is our chesed. Ma tzidkenu. What is our righteousness? What is our tzedakah? The tradition teaches that we are obligated to observe the mitzvah of tzedakah more than any other of the positive commandments. This hierarchy of importance is not merely to honor the way that tzedakah helps to lift up the fallen or feed the poor. It is a mitzvah that also cultivates something deep within the human being, an emotional attentiveness, the ability to listen to the cries of suffering and be moved to act. We are not to harden our hearts or shut our hands to the needy, says Devarim. Lo te'ametz et lefavcha, v'lo tikpotz et yadcha me'achicha havyon. Don't shut your hand to the needy, to your neighbor, to your brother. Ma tzidkenu. We have the gift, the mitzvah, to see our lives as a response to the need and pain in this world, in soul and in deed. That is our righteousness. That is our tzedakah. Ma ishenu. What is our aspiration? What is our hope? It's been a long day, but with each passing hour, we take away the layers that cover up our essence. And underneath it all is this desire, this pulse that beats within each and every one of us, telling us who we are. That pulse that is ready to soar and dream. Rav Avraham Yitzchak Kook writes, everything is full of richness and greatness. Everything aspires to ascend, to be purified, and to be elevated. Everything recites a song, offers praise, magnifies, exalts. Everything builds and serves and perfects, elevates, aspires to unite and to be integrated. We are all part of that everything. We so want to be part of a grand uplift. We have so many songs to sing, so many hopes for our lives and for the world. We are meant to be part of the symphony of the world, playing our part in the cacophony of sound that rises in harmony. Ma yishenu. What is our hope? What is our aspiration? That is our hope. That is our aspiration. Ma kochenu. What is our power? Geraldine Ferraro famously said about Congresswoman Bella Abzug, Zichrona Livracha. She was a BJ member for many, many years. This is what she said at her funeral about her. She didn't knock politely on the door. She didn't even push it open or batter it down. She took it off the hinges forever. Maybe not all of us are Bella Abzug. Most of us walk through doors. We all have trials and tribulations, successes and failures. We must not live as though we are being acted upon, as victims of our own lives, which doesn't mean, by the way, that we don't have moments when we're victims. But we are the subjects of our lives, the I. And we need to honor our power and our ability to stand up for who we are. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel writes, "Why are we forbidden to make images of God? God has an image, and that is you. You may not make the image of God because you are the image of God. The only medium in which you can make God's image is the medium of your entire life. And that is precisely what we are commanded to do. Everything you do, everything you say, each moment and the way you use it are all part of the way you build God's image. Our superpower is that we were created in God's image. Our ability to affirm that truth and to live with that conviction, with courage, and with determination to act on our principles. Ma kochenu. What is our power? That is our power. Ma gvuratenu. What is our strength? What is our might? In Pirkei Avot, Ben Zoma asked this very question. Ezehu gibor. Who is mighty? The answer given is Hakovesh et Yitzro, the one who subdues his evil inclination. Perhaps the greatest strength is the will to control and overcome our destructive and immoral instincts. Might is not a show of force or a display of power. It is the inner fortitude to show restraint, to build a boundary, and to be a hero by not succumbing to temptation. Avot Rabbi Natan offers actually a different answer to who is mighty. And the answer he gives is one who can turn an enemy into a friend. Might is our power to control our judgment and have the courage to change and to see change in others. That is our strength. Ma kochenu. That is our strength. Ma nomar lefanecha Adonai. What can we say before you, Adonai? We can be mighty. We can use our power for the good. We can have aspirations and hope. We can be righteous and charitable. We can be loving and compassionate. We can live holy lives. The question is, will we? Ma'anu, who are we? We are human beings, each a small world, an olam katan, heavenly and earthly, mountains and valleys, oceans and deserts, human beings with free will and a precious divine image stamped in us. We live in an olam gadol, a big wide world filled with uncertainty and injustice and besorot tovot and good news. We tip the scale one act, one mitzvah at a time to make a difference. Perhaps our mitzvot are only one drop in the ocean, but drop after drop, holy choice after holy choice, we are committed to being redemptive agents in the world. We are Mashiach-minded, planting seeds for redemption, doing our part in our own time to grow trees for the future. And when that shofar sounds at 7:13, and we walk out this door, let's keep the hinges on. May we use all our might and all our power and all our hope and all our righteousness and all our love to transform our little worlds and dedicate our lives to become a mikdash ma'at, small sanctuaries. Perhaps our big world might become one too. God is looking for a place to dwell. Let it be within me. Let it be within us.